My name is Katie Knickrum. I am going into my 14th year of homeschooling my children. I have 6 children. I have graduated 1, and I have obviously 5 left, ranging from 4th grade to 12th grade.
We're starting our 12th year.
Wow.
So I have an 11th grader, a 9th grader, and a preschooler.
I had taught school. I taught public school 5 years, private school 5 years. And then when our daughter came along, a neighbor asked us, were we going to do public or private? And I said, I'm thinking home.
My name is Hope Mabe, and I have been homeschooling starting this fall. We'll be our 22nd year. We have 4 children, and 3 are graduated, and I still have 1 left in high school.
My name is Jennifer, and I have homeschooled for about 15 years. I have 2 young men who are now graduated and attending college currently.
I thought I would start by showing you when I was checking out homeschooling, these 3 books were available at the public library. 5 were listed, 1 was missing, 1 was a 15-page pamphlet. And I think it's interesting these books are still out. As I got a little further into homeschooling and I met other people, I found some more books that were favorites. One of them is Dr. Beachick's You Can Teach Your Child Successfully. It's a very good book for upper elementary. She has 3 little books that are better for the lower grades. Excellent. And then How to Homeschool by Gail Graham. This one is old, 1992. So my daughter was little when it was written, but it's still valid. And one of my favorite parts about it are the forms in the back. So you can photocopy and come up with your own lesson plan. There's lots of things online now. The world has changed so much. Deborah Bell's book, Ultimate Guide to Homeschooling, I think it's been revised several times. These 2 are for the children's sake, and Charlotte Mason Education, and that's a very literature-based, and the child does a lot of narration, repeating back, and just gentle learning. But there's a lot of classical type things, a lot of poetry, nature study. Lee Borton started Classical Conversations, and we've got Classical Education, The Question, which is a book by Lee, and The Core. And then another approach to a classical education is by Jesse Wise and Susan Wise Bauer, The Well-Trained Mind. It's a very thorough, all the way through, perhaps even more thorough than they actually did. And then my favorite. This is what it looked like when it first came out. This is what it looks like now. Clay Clarkson and his wife Sally have a wonderful approach, and it's the one that probably gave me the most peace homeschooling. There's also Mary Hood, Relaxed Homeschooling, and The Joyful Homeschooler. Some of them we don't have in the store. They come in, we put them on the shelf. Because they're a wonderful deal and they're wonderful books, they don't stay long enough for me to show them all to you.
There's a online option called Homeschool Tracker. I believe the website's homeschooltracker.com, and you can go online and there's a downloadable version. I think there's an online version where you can make lesson plans, you can put in grades. It will average out all of the grades for you. It's a very great program for those, especially for starting out and not so sure about what direction to go or how to do all of this. As I got a little more confident in my lesson planning, I started to just utilize a 1 to 5 subject notebook. And I would put day 1 and write down all of the plans for that day, and just do that for a whole semester or a whole year and work through that book as we went along. That was just the easiest way for me to do it. And plus, with not putting dates on it, it helped me to be able to, at the last minute, if I needed to to change something or do something different. If we had a field trip that all of a sudden we decided we wanted to go do, or if my grandmother needed us to go take her to the doctor, we could just last minute go do it, and then the next day pick back up. So these are all things you can utilize. We also have lesson planners here that you can utilize if you want it in a book form, or you can just write it in. We do have those here as well, new and used, and so I encourage you to utilize those things to help you be a little more organized.
My kids, once they hit 11th grade, they attend community college for dual enrollment. This past year, my 11th grader attended Forsyth Tech for several classes. So I think he's got like 22 or 24 credit hours after 1 year. And by the way, this Career and College Promise program is free. It is a free program for North Carolina students. So, and they just opened it up even to include some of the trades for even some of the younger classes. The promise of the program is that if the student goes to a state school, they have to take the credits. If you ask the college professors over at Forsyth Tech, overall, the homeschool students do very well. They're very, because they're respectful, they've had to do independent learning already, they've had to kind of sort out some of these kinks.
Where you need to be really good about your record keeping is when you get to high school. Mary Hood has a book called Relaxed Record Keeper, and she, in most cases, just threw things in a box, and then at the end of the year evaluated. 1 year she was, or several years, she was in a state where you had to submit your materials to a accredited or licensed teacher for evaluation, and then she became she got a master's and then a doctorate so that she could help evaluate for other people. So you can be rather relaxed. You need to find out which school they're interested in and see how they want their transcript set up. There are books on how to do transcripts. There are people who do transcript services that you can hire, or you can do them yourself. I did one just on the computer and printed it off, and when my daughter went to college, that's what she submitted, no problem. Parents do the transcript. There are transcript programs out there that you can purchase for $30, $40, but really I think, it would be worth it if someone just does not want to mess with it. But as far as like doing a transcript, it's pretty fairly easy. You can just take, the report cards or how they've been reported there and do a carbon copy on like an Excel spreadsheet or Microsoft Word or something like that. Now, they do have to be notarized.
I homeschooled our two boys all the way from 3-year-old to through 12th grade. And about 7th, 8th grade, I started thinking about high school. And it was quite intimidating for me, actually. I was calling up every veteran homeschooler I knew, and I was asking them, well, how do you do this and how do you do that? I was really nervous and very anxious about homeschooling high school. And one thing that I learned through all of that is there's not a whole lot of difference from homeschooling just what I had been doing and homeschooling high school. There's a few differences. First of all, you need a transcript. You need to come up with, make sure you keep up with grades and have a transcript ready for when they graduate high school. So that's one thing I had to remember. And there are a lot of websites that have samples. HSLDA has samples. The NCHE, North Carolinians for Home Education, their website has samples of high school transcripts. And so those were websites that I utilized to see how I needed to do it and what needed to be on there. But the other thing that I thought about and that I had been told was to do course descriptions. And the reason why course descriptions are important as you start in 9th grade, to go ahead and start giving a course description for each subject that you're learning and the curriculum that you're using, so that when you get into 12th grade, you're not trying to think back to 9th grade about, oh, what did we do and what curriculum did we use? You've already got it there. And the reason that is important is because there are some colleges that want to see the course descriptions. They will actually ask for the course descriptions. So it's good to have that on hand. Not all colleges do, but if you already have it on hand, you don't have to try to think of it later. But I found that other than just the higher level of learning that they were having to do and more in depth, that it wasn't a whole lot different than what I had already been doing. So it can be intimidating to think about, but it's really not that difficult. And so just consider that if you are pulling your child out and they're in high school. I would suggest, if they're already in high school, that you make sure you get the transcript from the school. But if you're pulling them out and you're going to start high school this year, consider those things and ask for help. Talk to some other homeschoolers, see how they did, but make it your own. That's extremely important, to make your homeschool your own. Do what works for your family. Your family's homeschool day may not look like somebody else's. The curriculum you use may not be what somebody else used, but make it your own. And just a little encouragement to know that you can do this.